Here we are, bottom of the Smash Mountain. I would like to thank all my Patreon supporters over at patreon.com/bsmpod for continuing to support me and what I'm doing. I would also like to thank my senior producers in particular. Shouts out to my mom and dad. Love y'all. Shouts out to Ventus Official and to PK Smokey with Eternal Project. Thank you all for your support. Tonight, live on twitch.tv/cypher0033, you get it. We have Melee Everyday's very own Jakespeare, who joined me live on the Big House stage. We were not commentating Melee, but we were talking incessantly about Melee, and Oates was up with us, who is with Major Zine. Shouts out to Marco. It was a lovely time, and so of course I was just ready to do like a off the rip podcast right on the spot. Like, let's go find a quiet room and just talk, because it was a really fun time. Jakespeare, thank you so much for doing that with me. And thank you for appearing on the podcast as it normally is here with me tonight. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, that little, like, the three of us there, what do we have, like an hour and a half or something?
Yeah.
We kind of covered, and this is because like the basis of our conversation was like the history of Big House and the history of Oates' zine, the Major Zine, which, you know, shouts to Oates. And it all kind of revolved around this basic like cultural mystical kind of thing, like the idea of community, the very idea of having a home, the idea of how you decorate it and what you put out, what you show people. And how every person in the community kind of has their own little home. Yeah, we just kind of went off on that. It was like beautiful, beautiful stuff. Some of the very reasons why I love this community so much were like very thoroughly covered in a kind of I say this again, like a mystical kind of way.
We kind of found a lot of that on the spot as well, which I really appreciate, because what stressed me out the most going into that was how much I needed to prepare not a script, but an outline, far more than I'm used to doing for my own intents and purposes. For tonight, Jakespeare, I really don't have anything planned. I just know that I want to talk about stuff, and we're going to get to all of it, of course. But that's normally what I'd like to do, because I have over prepared for interviews before, and it turned out so bad because I'm trying to reference a long sheet of things to get to. So I tried making it shorter, and I still felt like I was forcing it. And so instead of being in that mode, now I just go, it's just better if it's a conversation. So
that's when you get the good shit.
Yes,
when you're like,
yes.
Hey, tell me about something you love. And then you just let them like tell you exactly what you want to hear. And all you had to do is ask them one question, because that your heart will take you to all the places where that means, and tie it up in a nice little bow and just give it right to you. Just for a simple question. You got to ask the right questions, but you don't need too many. Like, good interviews are efficient. You know what I mean?
So and not dwelling on a subject for too long, because I also love doing that.
Yeah, I'm a great bullshitter too, so I could just talk forever.
Okay. We didn't get a chance to talk a whole lot about how you came to be and what got you into the Melee scene. And I love hearing about origin stories. So Jakespeare, that's where we can start. How did you get into Melee?
Yeah, so I was always like, you know, I played all the Smashes, right? I remember the day I got Smash 64, I went to Best Buy with my dad the day before it came out. And the homie working at Best Buy gave me a copy of Super Smash Brothers from the back. And I played that shit. And I don't know how long, because I was like, what? I don't know, 9 or 10 or something. And it was late for me, and I had baseball the next day, so I distinctly remember like nodding off in right field. They put me in right field because I had a good arm, but I couldn't really hit that well. So point of the story, I played competitive Smash for a while, and then I got up to Smash 4, the godforsaken game. And I was like, look at all these characters. And then, you know, my brother, Mike, who's younger than me, was on the Melee tip. He was a doc kid. He watched the doc, and he's like, this is the real shit. And at Christmas one day, we played on, my cousin had a Melee setup attached to a CRT, and we played Spacies on Corneria. And my younger brother, 9 years my junior, who I destroyed in video games my entire life and his entire upbringing, beat the shit out of me in Melee. And I went, hold up! This is not the way things should be. And then he said, watch this doc. And then I went, oh my God. And this is right around Apex 2014. And I needed a big distraction in my life, because I was like really upset about very bad breakup and like general quarter life crisis shit. And he showed me this, and I followed Apex, and I saw the Salty Suite, and I saw this brand new world. And you know how hard it is to make friends in your late 20s? It's impossible.
I'm beginning to find that out.
Right? But I made so many new friends in Melee, and I got into the scene. I went to the locals, and one day Bobby at EXP just said, "Hey Jake, you want to commentate solo because no one's there?" And I said, "Yeah, why not?" And that kind of started my love for commentary. But more generally speaking, it was just like this. It reminded me a lot of the theater, and I'm sure we'll get to that at some point tonight. But it's this community of multidisciplined homies who just do shit for each other, and for no real money or nothing, but just to have shared moments and memories. And like that's the shit I live for, honestly. Like it's why I do theater so much. It's why I'm a very performative person in general. You get a lot of those moments in the Smash scene, and often, right? Whether it's players, whether it's like major like tournaments, Twitter, clips, combo videos, merch, drawings, like you name it. Every month there's something exciting that you can take part of. It's dope. So I stuck around. Like, of course, it's so tight. And the game is amazing. Like it's the best game I've ever played. So that too. It just made sense to me. It was one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life, is to go deeper into the Melee scene.
That's awesome. Well, of course, we appreciate the fact that you're still here. I love hearing about the idea of being able to continue to increase the friend pool. I think of Melee as a high effort hang sometimes, where you could just go to a bar, or you could just, I don't know, golf or something. But instead, we all feel the need, this burgeoning need to bring 40, 50, 60 pound CRTs, a whole setup, up some stairs or maybe down some stairs, knowing that later on in the night when you're wasted, you're going to have to go back up the stairs with a 60 pound TV. You do all of that, and then you start playing, and then you start hanging. We're high effort hang people, I feel like, because
it's not easy, right?
Yes, you have to do some stuff to actually get this all set up. It's not as easy as just scrolling on TikTok or Twitter, other social media. It's not as easy as, again, going frisbee golfing or something. But you seem to have that kind of personality, like most of the Melee folks who are near and dear to my heart, where yes, there's the effort that you can make, you are still willing to do. That that you have to do a little bit of setup, a little bit of this, that, but then you get to play Melee, then you get to hang with people that are friends. So
and that's a good like floor for a community, where in order to like get in the door, you have to put in a little bit of effort, because it proves, first of all, that you have something to add to this community, right? Which is very important. Secondly, it proves that you care about it enough to give it your time and your resources without any kind of promise in return. And like 3, it's just like a little badge, right? You got that CRT now, right? Like I add a little tiny little CRT pin to my little Scouts badge here. I got my first modded controller, I switched mains. I'm this character. I discovered this tech. Like, it does take effort. And the best part is, like, mostly everyone wants to take part of that. They want to have a cool tournament. They want to make some cool tech. They want to make that upset. And it all takes a lot of effort. And like you said, like social media, it's like that. For comparison, talk about no effort shit, right? If I want to have like minor giggles, I'll scroll through Twitter for about 10 minutes and I might get a couple laughs, right? But what's the effort I put into it? Just rolling my finger around. So nothing truly transcendent happening there, right? Maybe a great tweet if you're lucky. But as soon as you put more into something and expect more out of it, that's when you get it. That's exactly when you get it. And that's what the whole community is predicated on.
Which is why it's hard to bring in the newer people. But I got to meet OG Kid at Big House. The 14-year-old guy, he's just enjoying Melee so much and hitting the up throw rests very consistently on me,
Always a
which
tough player.
I was ready for, because I know that OG Kid is good, but beat Midnight Blue in bracket at Big House, so shouts out to OG Kid.
That was him.
Yes.
OG Kid. Yo, wholesome.
No, he's a friend of the program. He's been on the show before, so I was excited to meet him there. We were able to meet. All that to say, you won't find a whole lot of stories like that where they're younger than the game, significantly younger than the game, and getting into it, because it's not as accessible as something like social media or even Fortnite. But when it happens, it's really special. We seem to attract, most of the time, the right kind of people who we all want to hang out with. I don't know. For me, it took me a while to get into Melee because I felt that little hump, that not like an outside force pushing me out or keeping me out. It was mostly in my own head that I was keeping myself out. But I acknowledged the fact that, I don't have a CRT. My GameCube may or may not still be in the house. And I go looking for it. Oh, there it is. Thank goodness. Whew. And that kind of thing. So you have to get that stuff if you don't. And who nowadays would have that up in their attic because they didn't grow up on the GameCube or the Nintendo 64.
Right.
By the way, I love hearing that you played Smash 64. I appreciate that.
Oh,
I
yeah,
love that
man.
game.
No, that was, I mean, you can imagine as a kid who loved Nintendo, like, there's a fighting game coming out with all the Nintendo characters. Like, there's nothing doper at that age. Like, you can't tell me anything's cooler than that when I'm 9. It's impossible. Yeah, of course. Like, I just a huge, big. Regardless of how I feel about them now, it's undeniable that Nintendo has dramatically altered the course of my life from a very young age, and that's true for a lot of people. So in the old days, things were nicer, but nothing was as nice as Smash Bros.
So
Promised.
we have to talk about the theater. First of all, how do we spell theater?
The art for me is an RE. Honestly, I don't care. I kind of hate that it's RE, but I feel like obligated to. It's like, I don't know, it feels like calling theater Dr. Theater or something. It's like it's this elevated position for no reason.
The theater. Yeah,
The theater.
so you have far more experience than me. Let me just catch you up on what I did. In high school, I did a couple of plays, one musical. I could hardly stand the musical because it involves more than just acting. And acting was what I was excited about. I would get nervous about going up on stage, but as soon as I went up on stage, I felt alive. And you know this.
What were the musicals? I know these shows. Let's hear names.
Ooh, okay, well, it was somebody's adaptation of A Christmas Carol, you know. And then the play, let's see, I forget who adapted it, but the play was Pride and Prejudice, and it was almost word for word out of Jane Austen's book. I think that maybe it was less than 5% of the dialogue was like written for the play. Nearly all of it was actually just straight from the book, which I thought was really cool.
Prose?
Huh?
Like, was it formatted into a script, or was it they just like copy pasted?
No, they did format it into a script. Yes, it was modified. Yes, some scenes were ignored.
Listen, I've done grade school shows where they just transcribed the movie, and that was our scripts, right? Oof. Yeah, like totally can't get sued for that.
Wait, hold on. That's my secret, Cap. I'm always angry, and then you're supposed to transform into the Hulk? What's going on? Okay.
It's just grade schools, man. They're not paying those licensing fees. But the performance thing, like you said, like it's initially a little scary, and then once you go on there, you really know if you like it or not. And if you like it, you love it. And if you kind of like it, you're not going to do it really ever again. Maybe karaoke. That's like where a lot of people kind of top out on their performance. I don't even do a lot of karaoke. Maybe it's just too tied to my day job, so to speak, that I don't want to. I don't know. It's fun in its own right. I love watching people do karaoke.
What, are you afraid of breaking down the house every time you do karaoke?
I mean, I've thought about it because like Smash is always be tweeting, "Yo, we're a karaoke." Like everywhere they go, they find the karaoke bar or the casino. Like Melee players, at least, always it's the karaoke bar, the casino, or the KBBQ. These things are real.
Yes.
And I thought, like, if I were to go on a karaoke stage, what song would I sing? Because I like I've done it before, but like so infrequently. And I'd probably do Wonder Boy by Tenacious D. That would be my response, and I would kill it. I promise you I would.
Bohemian
It's like,
Rhapsody by Queen.
that's yours?
That's what I would do.
Are you kidding?
That's the
That
first
is a
song I ever
feat.
memorized.
That's the first. Okay. That's a good reason to default to that.
I remember vaguely being about 6 years old and playing it, trying to sing along, play it again. Like it's a CD, so I'm not, I'm out here roughing it in the streets. I go, skip back. I would listen to that song. I remember doing it one day for at least an hour, and it is a long song, so it's not like it was 200 plays in 60 minutes. It's nearly a 6-minute song, because I wanted to learn all the lyrics. And then I went upstairs. I started singing it to my mom and dad, who of course are old enough to appreciate it. And I thought, this is really cool. They appreciate something that I'm doing. I'm having a good time. It was all great until they asked me to do it for friends and family.
Now this is where things get complicated. Now all the fun you're having is gone.
It's gone. I'm like, I'm not gonna. Dang it. And
That is the hardest part of performing. Is just like keeping it natural, keeping it keeping it normal, keeping it like. Don't imagine the audience with their clothes off. Just remember rehearsal. They're not even there. That's like one of the easiest things about commentating for me. It's like there could be like fucking 15,000 people watching my dumbass, but I don't see them. It's so easy to just like turn it off there, and just like all it is me and my homie commentator B, whoever that is.
It's hard to do at the age of 6, but yes, I totally get what you're saying. That's why I really enjoyed performing later on in high school, but I never did theater after graduating from high school. And that's because I didn't go to college, but I loved that time, and I kind of wish I could do it again, but I just don't. It's purely a time thing. If you could give me 40 fresh hours in a week, well, firstly, I would play more Melee and try to sleep more, but also I would love to do another production. It would be super fun.
Yeah. I've some friends actually a really good friend of mine just started taking improv classes again after not being on a stage in I don't know how long. And like just getting back into it, the first laugh she got doing a funny little bit or whatever, just bit by the bug all over again. Just remembered everything that they enjoyed about it. And that happened to me recently. In May, I was in Kansas City for 2 months as an actor, which is something I haven't done in a very long time. And it just reminded me like immediately why I loved it in the first place. And I'm like 10 times as good as I ever was because I've just lived longer, and I know how I got more in the sack, more shit to just take out. Try this. I remember this experience in my life now way more than I had 10 years ago. And yeah, if it's like if it's innate in you and you really do love performing, you really can't get away from it. But if it's, it is a time thing. If you want to do a play, that's like 4 hours of community theater plays, like 3 to 4 hours of rehearsal a night for 5 nights a week. Like you got a family,
It is tough, but I get to perform here, kind of.
This counts.
Yes, it does count. I'm giving myself enough credit there. I just also realize it's not on the grand scale of Melee related stuff yet. But when we were up on the stage at Big House again, like I said, I was most nervous about having to follow an outline that I'm not normally holding myself to for a normal conversation like this. But otherwise, I was excited, and I wasn't as nervous as I thought I was going to be. I always knew that once we started recording and being live, I'd be fine. But I thought the night before, am I going to be really nervous leading up to it tomorrow? Because I'm used to that. And I just thought it's going to be on a different level because I haven't been live in this situation before, a Big House 10. Are you kidding me? That was a really big privilege. I recognized that. That was really cool.
Yeah, that felt really special.
Yeah, it was really special. So all in all, I was really pleased with how I didn't actually feel as tense or nervous about it going in. And like I said, always knew I'd be fine as soon as we got live. And it turned out that way. Makes me want to do more. So we'll see about that.
Yeah.
But when I get to do this, when I get to be live on a microphone and camera with you or somebody else, To me, it feels a little bit like performing, but mostly I'm just enjoying the fact that somebody else loves Melee and wants to talk to me about how much they love Melee and how much I love Melee. And that's what I love so much about doing this. I quickly pivoted. That's a podcast word. I quickly pivoted from originally thinking I'll start a Melee podcast to just talk about Melee as I see fit. It quickly became, I can talk to all these people. This is crazy. Yeah. Let's go.
And, right. Boom. Look at your face right now. Like that is actually who you are right now. But you're on camera. So this is the closest you can be to yourself, but you have to like have a slightly stylized version of yourself, right? You're aware that people are watching you. I could see my face in 2 different monitors right now. Right? And it's like this is a little different than normal.
Yes.
But like it's the best. I think this is the best commentary like advice ever is be yourself, but be conscious that you're not quite yourself. I'm Jakespeare always. Like my problems as Jake don't come in here. The things I have to think about later don't come in here. You know, what am I going to eat later tonight? That's not, Jake would be thinking about those things. Jakespeare is not. But I try to, you know, I love Melee so much and I lean into that it just becomes who I am. All of a sudden I'm watching this game and I'm like, you know, seriously commentating it. Then I see some dope ship and I'm like, you know, like right, like actually myself, like in a way that few people have seen or heard. And that's when you know I'm feeling it. And that's like, yeah, that's when you know it's good. It's good Melee. And that's when good commentary happens with everybody. When their best self comes out and it's not any different from who they normally are, it's just a little elevated.
So I was thinking about the one person who was able to sort of get a taste of the higher echelon of Melee commentary. I'm thinking about Turn Down for Walt. Walt got to do the top 4 of SmashCon this year with Vish. I thought that was so cool. Walt was on
top 8 of Gommel too. First half of top 8, I believe.
Yes, and the first
Radar.
top of Battle BC4 with Radar.
Correct. Correct.
Yes. So those events happened first, and then we got to the SmashCon timeline where it was totally out of the blue for me because I'm not really involved with behind the scenes stuff all that often. So when Walt goes, I'm going to be doing top 8 today, I was like, okay, that's cool. Top 8, cool. It'll be the first block, of course. No, it's the second block. It's top 4. Wow, this is so cool. And so when you are seeing this, Jake, you've seen a lot of people sort of get the opportunities to commentate grand finals of a big Melee event, and it's not like a long list. So you can from your perspective, and so I'm interested to hear your. And I don't know, did you watch it live? Did you watch it afterwards? It was
Watch what live?
Did you watch grand finals or top 4 Walt and Vish commentary at SmashCon?
SmashCon? I think so. I think I did. Because like that was many moons ago. But
yes,
it
was
so
a while ago.
Between now and then, like I can't even put shit together anymore. Everything is the same people every weekend. And it's just great Melee. I'm not complaining, but it is hard to keep together sometimes. But I think I did see that. Yeah.
Okay, this was Mango winning after being ranked number 11. It was Walt saying, "Thou shalt not sleep on the kid." It was the Ben SW hug from the crowd. That was the event.
Thou shalt not sleep on the number 1 commandment of Mango Nation. Thou shalt not sleep on the kid. So
I'm interested in hearing your perspective on what that experience is like from your perspective, or from someone who thinks about commentary for Melee, about how it can be good, how it can be better. I'm interested in hearing about the Walt arc from this year, because we got
specifically the Walt arc,
because that's we'll talk about this some more, but you do stuff related to, you know, hiring talent, as they say.
So in Walt's perspective, Walt is a perfect example of, because before, in the olden times, and I think like my generation of commentators is kind of the last of this breed, and like these are like, I'm talking about like people like Jackzilla, like a Pengu, like Studebaker, like we all like kind of came onto the scene at the same time, and this was the last of the classic locals to regionals to round 1 pools to round 2 pools to top 64, to, you know, that ladder to top 8 that everyone basically climbed, like all the big names, like in some capacity had to earn that in a traditional way. Walt introduced this new, I'm not sure if he introduced it, but he definitely spearheaded this like idea, and COVID had a lot to do with it, that the legwork is not in doing like pools and stuff. It is in the content you create. And shout outs to Walt. His videos are fire. Like fucking so good. And also simultaneously, Walt was able to commentate in the same chair that he made. I mean, I think so. The same chair that he made these videos. So he had this like super potent, and this is Slippy, right? It's all online at this point. This super potent dovetailing of technique of like being able to just do all these Slippy tournaments. You know, there were a Rona Rumble every week, a East Coast Fridays, Uncle Sam's Maple Syrup, which I believe we commentated together once. And simultaneously making his videos, and that led for a big, and he pushing his merch and shit, and it was just a big, like, that's how you get, and he went from Walt not a commentator to top 8 in record time. No other commentator
super
in the
fast
world has ever done that. Yeah, and I'm not sure if it will happen again, honestly. I don't know, but it was I'm talking very pointedly about this because he was an anomaly, and he perhaps was the first example of someone who could, someone who changes the career arc of a commentator in a very effective way. And it's actually quite impressive, if I may be so frank.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I thought it was so cool. And you do need somebody like Walt on the Walt tier, because Walt is already and will be like continually improving as a content creator. So knowing all of that,
we're always getting better if we're doing it right.
Mm-hmm. Yes. You know? I mean, for Walt, it's hiring other people to do stuff so that more videos can come out. I mean, that's what I've been most impressed by recently, because if you mess with the formula like that of how the cakes get baked, it's like, you better have a pretty good formula to make that work. Yeah. And
or else you're going to get Coke 2 and lose $1 billion or whatever, and then just go back to the cake, and the cake is much better.
So I've been so impressed with how fast Walt went up towards being able to commentate top 4 at SmashCon, that to then kind of just disappearing after that from commentating. I thought that was the coolest thing ever, because if it were me, I would go, I want to do this always and forever, amen. But Walt has this ability, and maybe it's partially forced, because how can you have time to do all of this, right? Because he also wants to be behind the camera too. I mean, I think he was behind the camera pretty much exclusively at Big House and other events this fall. So that's the thing. If you want to commentate, you gotta kind of have to give up something else in order to do it. And Walt said, no, I want to be behind the camera now.
Well, he did ask to be on the roster, but you must understand, and I know he does, that like there are like quadruple S tier casters that I couldn't hire. Like, look at that lineup. It was so stacked, right? It was just ridiculous top to bottom. Like, I wanted to hire Lovage. Like, he didn't make the cut. Zoo didn't make the cut. If Chillin was he would have been on that roster. Like, you get the point, right? But I think Walt was secretly glad that he didn't, because the first thing he said to me when I saw him at Big House, he's like, "Sup, Jake?" Fist bump. I'm so busy. Like, and he was like, I never saw that guy walking less than a 7 out of 10. Like, dude was hustling, and he was only walking faster if he didn't have equipment in his hand. It seemed like he was, and there were, he was shooting shit and like producing it that day and then it going on stream the next day. So like, it would have, if he had a full block of commentary slots, I think his greater work would suffer. So I think probably in both of our best interests. That I believe it was in his. And he like took the time and made some slamming videos, man. Like just like he knows how to do. But yeah, I don't think commentary is something that Walt would want, especially since he's been improving so much. Like, I don't think it's something that he'd want to give up entirely, although I can't speak for him. He's also like has a job now with Panda, and like, I don't know what that brings. But yeah, like seriously, like Walt is like, he zipped. He zipped. He took the fast lane. I'm not gonna say cheat code because there was no cheat, and it was hard work.
Hard work.
That's hard work and luck, my friend. Luck.
Yes, but there's no one who I could have probably picked and said, yeah, this person deserves it more than Walt. I mean, like we've been saying, Walt's been doing this for a long time. Content within Melee, absolutely deserved. So I wanted to observe that. And I'm sorry to make you talk about somebody else for so long. Let's get back.
That's fine. It's fine.
Let's get back towards you.
Walt is a big figure in our community in a lot of ways. I think he's worthy of the discussion.
I'm interested in getting Stelios' question. We have Stel in
the house.
chat.
What's up?
Who you probably know. Stel is an up and coming commentator, content person.
I did a block with him at Gombo. Did we do 2? Or did we just do 1? One of them. Yeah.
I did not do the research with you and Stelios' working relationship.
That's fine. It was but a couple hours, but they were very fun.
Stel's in the chat says we did 1. All right, but question for you, because I'm not gonna answer this. With Walt's pipeline, would his path be what should be the ideal path for new folks to get into casting, or do more of a blend of cast the locals, work on content, go from there? So is the Walt path repeatable, or do we have to say, no, not repeatable, this is what you need to focus on?
I think in a lot of ways, Walt's case was lightning in a bottle, but I think it's sustainable and like actually good for a lot of things. Because if you make content, it's probably Smash content, and if it's good Smash content, that benefits us all. So you get more recognizable. We enjoy your shit, and then when we see you on the mic, it doesn't feel like who's this guy? It's like, oh yeah, I know that guy. Like a perfect example is Dark Gen X, right? That clever bastard. I love his shit, man. He's so fucking funny. And he commentates too. He also happens to have a terrific voice. So, but it was definitely like the pipeline was like, funny guy happens to be a good commentator. That's great. And, there are some people who just aren't good commentators, and that won't happen, but they still might make good content. But maybe, I don't know. But I think, for instance, there's a guy in Chicago who shows up to every weekly we have, and he sits down and he commentates. He never enters. He sits down, he commentates every week. No money, just to commentate. And I admire that so much. And that's like the classic pipeline, right? Except it's elevated because Matt Popa, shouts to Matt Popa, has this super sick like stream setup, so it has like the production quality of a major stream, like mirrorless cameras, good, SMs, fucking super nice tower with like great bitrate, like it's all there. Ooh. So locals have this like already this like higher floor from when I used to do it when I was standing in front of a fucking blue Yeti by myself on some old ass couch with no camera, and if there was a camera, the lighting was ass. And so like if you wanted to start there as a commentator, you're already like you have a better leg up than the generations before, myself included, and those who preceded me. But making content's like not a bad idea because it just like diversifies your visibility. You know what I mean? Like that Bobby Big Balls video, like more people know, like have seen me before. I got at the last local. Cannot believe this. The last local, some kid who I've never seen before, which is a great thing. A lot of new faces in Chicago came up to me and was like, "Hey, are you the guy from that Bobby Big Balls video?" Like, wow. Yeah, man, that's me. And so there's no wrong answer because there's more Melee content, more ways to make Melee content. We've chopped this game up in so many ways, and with each piece has its own chopping up and those quirks and molecules. It's endless. So finding something you really like and want to make is not hard. You just have to put in the effort. That's really what it is. Like whether you choose the locals pipeline or the content pipeline, it's your effort. It doesn't matter. It's the real answer. Put it in, and don't get a big head. Don't. That's advice for all up and coming commentators. As a Gen X commentator, I refer to doc kids now as Gen X, because Slippy Kids is the Zoomers, the Millennials are right after the doc kids, and then we got the Boomers. So that's what I would say. Don't get a big head. It's easy to when you're just like performing, and that to go back to theater. I've certainly known some people who think they're hot shit And they might be good as hell, but they're buttholes and I don't like them. And that means I won't want to work with them. They could be amazing. I don't care. You make me sick. So always be aware, no matter what you do, always be aware that the more you put yourself out there, the more people will see you, the more people will think about you, the more of a reputation you'll make, for better or worse. And that has a big effect on who wants to work with you. This is showbiz. It's a very diluted, penniless version of showbiz.
But since it's penniless, the ego wants to be fed more because it's not being fed from a salary or a money perspective.
Yeah, there's currency, definitely. Clout, right? Good things like respectability and trustworthiness. Those are big. Showing up, promptness. These are all very important ways to pay your dues, so to speak. But there's always someone else who is depending on you. Just keep that in mind, right? And then you open yourself up to just everyone being on the same page. We're all just struggling. We're all free here. I say that all the time. Kids at the local, oh man, I lost to this guy. It's like, dudes, there are 50 players who whoop that guy's butt so hard. They make him feel worse than you do now. We're all free here. We're just trying to have fun. and maybe make a little something of ourselves. But going at that with the mindset just frees you up entirely. Then you get your best shit done because you're relaxed, you're comfortable, you're not thinking about yourself and how you can benefit from this. You're thinking about how the homie can benefit from this. That's when you start to get somewhere.
Yes, that's when things like the net play for Palestine become more of a thing that's possible to do. So that events like that, super great. It happens when everybody says, let's get behind something, and people are actually willing to do it because they realize this community is more than just about what they're doing for me. It's what I'm doing for the community as well.
I spent a JRPG's worth of hours on Netplay for Palestine. Didn't get a penny. It one of the most rewarding experiences of my life. Straight up. That's all it takes. It's because the effort was translated into genuine emotions. Being proud, feeling good, knowing that we raise a shitload of money and that's really useful, in general. That's when I was talking about currency. These are the things that I accept. These good feelings are the things that are my cash drawer is always open, and anything can go in it. You can make me feel good a million different ways. I can make you feel good just as many ways. And those are the most honest exchanges that we have in mankind, period. That's what this community is built on. It relies on it, or else it crumbles. And it hasn't yet. It's only gotten bigger.
Yes, let's continue hoping that we, and to some degree, keep this. I just sort of generalize it as the grassroots spirit that stays, because otherwise it becomes it does become more of a money-driven thing. So nothing wrong with money or people being fairly compensated. It's just everyone likes the quad stream until the bottom right one is just Papa John's for 5 minutes. And mark my words. Don't say I didn't warn you. Don't say I didn't warn you. How close were we?
Not for the LSI. No, that was never ever.
No, because it's not a Papa John's thing. But I wanted to talk to you. I wanted to ask you about your current involvement in Melee is not just in terms of commentary or getting to do super cool viral tweets. It's also being part of staff. You get to do behind the scenes stuff. So this has always been intriguing to me because I like the idea of an event happening, and then for someone who's either running it or in charge coming to me and being like, I don't have a whole lot of value to add personally. I have things that I can, but it's not like I'm a Flashburn or a Juna. You want those people to run the stream, or you want Jakespeare to hire your commentators or to choose your commentators. So that's what you did for Big House. Am I understanding correctly?
Yes, that's what I did for Big House. And I also did it for last Big House, which was in 2019. So this time around I had the job again, but I was contracted under Waveform, which is the production company that now does just about every major you watch. And they absorbed Melee Every Day, which before that did just about every major you watch. And so like I found, Juna and I have this like really long standing relationship of like just helping each other out constantly. One of my, best friends in Smash, shouts to Juna. And this felt like a very natural, like, and then through that, so I hired all the commentators. Yeah, I did the schedule, the budget, all that stuff, which is very fun. I love doing that work. And then for Ludwig Smash Invitational, I was once again contracted under Waveform with the homies, Melee every day. Again, Juna, Flashburn, Sago joined us this time. Sago, that's another old school and a really good friend of mine. And then Avian, Ayub, Addy, and then Dylan, who was the mastermind of the quad stream idea, or brought it to Aiden's attention that this.
Oh yes, Aiden was shouting out Dylan on the Radio Melee episode.
Yeah,
let's go, Dylan.
Directed the ultimate quad stream, and Flashburn directed the Melee quad stream. And so the quad stream was a 3-person setup. It was Flashburn directing, Sago doing graphics, so like the player names, the characters, pronouns, all that, the score. And then I was the stream runner, so I was wearing a headset much like yours, actually. This gigantic, like, except it had a mic in front of it. And I was weaving in and out all of the premier talent in Melee, trying to find the players to make sure that there were 4 matches going on in all 4 quads at the same time. And it was a team of 3. They had a lot of gear, ton of gear, but that's what went into that. And apparently it was extremely well received, which felt really good because it was they were long days, but they were good days. You find the rhythm, right? And by the end of it, I was just like, I had my script down exactly, right? I'd stand behind the players. You guys can start hand warmers. Wait for the thing in my ear. Okay, they're ready to start. All right, guys, you can start whenever. Good luck and have fun. I told that to every top player in Melee at least 3 times over the course of the weekend. And I'm not sure if a lot of people will recognize maybe the beard, but like I definitely had a hat on and a mask the whole time we were required. And the players were so gracious and courteous and like understanding and not demanding and prompt and there and ready, and they followed directions and they didn't complain, and it was just great. Like it felt like it was like Summit in a cabaret theater was what it felt like, instead of like the warehouse or whatever they do. It was all in a cabaret theater, and Ult Summit and Melee Summit were going on at the exact same time, separated by a mere 10 feet. And it was the densest collection of Smash talent for sure ever, but maybe forever. It would be hard to top that level of star power. Like, oops, excuse me, Hungerbox, excuse me, Magi. Ooh, I gotta find J-Mook. Oh, there's J-Mook. Okay, where's Josh, man? Okay, and everyone commiserating, everyone chatting, everyone chilling. It was a privilege, nothing short of a privilege, to be there. And it was just work. I was just like, whatever, I'm not starstruck anymore. I've seen all these guys before. So I talk fast, I move fast, I'm light, I'm thin, I could squeeze between shit. I was the right man for that job, and it worked like stupendously. And I'm just very proud of Melee every day, once again, for like 5 years straight, like low key behind the curtains, running fucking everything you've seen. And that's on God. That's for real. And so to have us be called up for something as big as this was, I mean, we had this amazing dinner in Vegas at Morimoto's restaurant, best meal I've had all year. And I kept saying, "Ooh, this is free, baby." And Juna kept correcting me. They kept saying, "No, you earned this. You earned this." And we did.
Nice.
It was like company card shit, like lavish, right? You ever had a single ounce of Wagyu beef?
No, but that does sound really good.
Forget it. Everything they say about it completely makes sense. It is hands down the best tasting piece of meat I've ever had in my life, and I earned it.
Yes.
And these are the kind of things you get if you just give it your best all the time when people expect it of you, and even more importantly, people don't expect it of you. 3-4 years ago, we were sleeping. Melee every day was sleeping on hotel floors, running shit side stream 7 at Big House, where, these 2 matches you don't even care about, these 2 commentators you've never heard before. And the work that Juna and Flashburn in particular put in, both of them, you look at that and you go, it is possible to find, to not be like stuck in Melee, to use it and mold it into something fantastic and make yourself amazing. And that's what they remind me of constantly. Flashburn, hands down the best technical director in Melee. Get it. And just to see them shine and to like remember where they came from and to like, you know, bring the homies in to enjoy it. Is there anything better?
You could just sense it. You could just sense it in I saw a tweet of a couple pictures of the Melee Everyday crew at LSI. It was something was emanating out of that picture to me. Something came across.
It's the homies in Vegas who just did a great job, fucking killed it, and we're gonna have some fun tonight. And we're all there. It was fantastic. You can't beat it. I swear to God. You would have to tell me a lie if you think you have a better story. Yeah, that's it. That's what it meant to me in a lot of different ways. And just how I like to do it. Wearing all black, just hidden, low key, just working. Don't care if anyone says thank you because I know how good I did. That's the attitude, right? A lot of people said thank you though. Everyone said thank you. Surprise of the week. Josh Man, the kindest smasher I've ever met. Also one of the tallest. Another surprise.
Wait, hold on. You didn't know that Josh Man was tall before this?
I mean, I've never seen him in person. Like,
okay.
It was like an NBA thing, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, you don't really know how tall they are until you're standing next to them. And I'm like 5'8" on my best day. So he's definitely a look upper. He definitely like leaned down to, you know, listen to my short ass like constantly, but so kind, always thank you, smiling, great guy. Got his pillow for him. He was thank you for giving me that pillow. No problem, man. You're sick. Easy stuff like that. Just make people's day, and you have so many opportunities to do that throughout the day.
You like Juna said, earned it. Okay, so speaking of Flashburn, I will be having Flashburn on the pod in a few weeks. Do you have a question that you would want me to ask?
Flashburn? So I guess one of the things that I brought this up to Flashburn at Morimoto's, and I was like, whether things are going so great or things are going so shit, you are right there, level as a rock. Like studious, like not missing keystrokes, not sweating, breathing normally. And I just want to know what is going on in your head. Like, is your mind doing all of the things that your body is not showing? Or how do you deal with it? Like, if he doesn't want to tell me, that's fine. It might be the dark art of Flashburn that makes him so effective. But I would like to know what he's thinking. And like at what speed, you know, like, is it a slow process? Is it lightning? Flashburn does live life a little bit fast. It's like not in his decisions and choices, but his thought process for sure.
Yes, that does sound like someone that I'd be interested in hearing thoughts from, and who probably doesn't want to be in front of a camera a lot. But I saw Flashburn. Well, we both got to work with Flashburn, of course, when we were doing our recording at Big House. So. Mm-hmm. I popped off a little bit when Juna said Flashburn was running the stream. I hope that Juna did feel bad because I didn't get a chance to pop off in front of Juna that was like, you're Juna. Like I wanted to do that, but I tried not to be. I also popped off when I found out that Echo Storm was there when JDMH, who I was excited to meet JD. I was so excited, I promise. And I felt bad afterwards when I thought about it. Oh, because offhand, JD goes, Echo Storm is here. And I was like, Echo Storm is here because Echo's been on the pod 2 times. Such a nice person to me. I was like,
shouts to Zach for sure.
Can you please take me to meet Echo, please, JD? and JD did. So big ups, big thanks.
Big thanks, JD. Okay, another like stupendously great worker. Like, dude, JD's so good. Relentlessly good. Like batting a fucking 1,000. I swear to God.
Always continually exciting to see the tweets that come out after 4 side fights is recorded, because if it doesn't go well, JD wants to make it better every single time. There is no settling into mediocrity for JD. It's always clawing and fighting out of it to get back up to the good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's like, sometimes it's hard because like, Jack's clown, right? And he's got a lot of clowns on that show, all the homies, all of them. And so they'd be clowning around. And sometimes for a technical director, that's, you gotta, especially like, since you have to like focus on like the cuts of each square and everything, and they're all talking over each other, being judicious with your choices in that regard is always an art.
So what would you say is your favorite event that you've been able to work behind the scenes for? Is it LSI because it was the most recent one? Is it something that was this year or before COVID? Like, I'm interested in hearing what stands out in your memory.
As far as like overall like highest score in terms of the job, like the production, like how all of production went, I would say that LSI was probably number one. Like the water main busted on setup day, and we thought that was gonna be a bad omen, but actually that was the worst of it.
Yeah,
I kept saying, "Oh God, better today than tomorrow," and everyone's like, "No, don't say that. Don't bring it into existence." Like what? Like be thankful. That was a blessing that happened today. But yeah, like the crew did so well, 95%. I was like chill with the homies. Do you mean like what about am I including extracurriculars like me being in the casino and in Vegas or Detroit or Toronto, or do you mean just like when we're in the doors, when we're behind the curtain?
No, you can include the entire experience if you want to, because I think when you think back on those weekends, you're not just remembering the work that you did. You are also remembering the experiences, the conversations, the gambles won or lost.
Yeah, I would have to be LSI then, because like, yeah, I mean, I also gambled for like 10 hours with the homies at Vegas, like real emotions, hundreds made and lost, just like, real gamble, like not huge stakes, but $20 blackjack hands, that shit adds up. That shit adds up. But it was all good. I came up at the end of the night, saw some dope shit, and then saw a couple, one really good Cirque show and one really fucking sus Cirque show. Don't see Michael Jackson 1 if you go to Vegas, unless you want the cringiest thing that'll happen to you all year. Even so, not worth $110. So I gotta say LSI, and then combined with like the great meals I had and all the homies were there, and we did such a good job, like 10 out of 10 minimum, right? And then there's other things like Big House, the most recent Big House, where a lot of things needed fixing. It was a gremlin-y show, both from a commentary, like the scheduling perspective, and other aspects of production. There was a lot of things like that needed like immediate attention and like instinctual calls and things like that. And so I really relished that, because despite everything, at the end of the day, like Big House 10 was like like outrageously monumentally important thing for all of us, right? I would argue that it was more important in general than the LSI. No shade to the LSI, but Big House had its whole, legacy, 10 years, AMSA, everyone was there. Everyone who was at LSI was at there, even Plup excluding. Plup was not for either of them. So it was basically like Big House 2, but Summit House XL in a cabaret theater.
With a lot more Feastables chocolate bars.
I have maxed out on dark chocolate for the next couple months. They're giving that shit away like candy.
I mean, 5 ingredients. As soon as they said that, I went, am I going to Walmart to look for this?
And I think the milk chocolate at 4.
That's so cool. How many things do you see such a long list of ingredients for? And I don't mean to be cynical with American food, but like processing, am I right?
No, shit's ass. Don't be cynical about it. Go to Europe once and see how bad we eat. It's like readily apparent. Yeah. So Big House also occupies that same like we did it kind of thing. Great job, everyone. And I felt like there was a responsibility there, and like just to see like Scar commentate AMSA's biggest win, and then you go back like 6-7 years ago and see that it was Scar that was commentating AMSA's first big win against Mewtwo King, and like that's magic, like that's like that's the stuff that other tournaments will take a long time to get there.
Like
that is
only 8 years, 10 years, 12 years.
Right. And like the story, like bookended by Bobby Newman. And it all made sense, right? Everything felt right. Everything felt correct. This felt like Melee. I loved LSI, everything about it. Shout out to Mogul Moves and the boys and everything involved. It was an amazing experience. But it had Mr. Beast chocolate, you know? Like there's a difference there. There is a difference there. I'm not saying one's better or worse, but there is a difference. And so Big House, like the two most recent events I worked were obviously still the freshest emotionally speaking.
Sure.
But from a brass tacks bottom line perspective, we're like objectively just like phenomenal.
I mean, I'll remember Big House 10 for a long, long time. And when I was at Pound and I didn't get to do like a little live show, I went 0-2 there. I went 1-2 at Big House. I got to see actually, whoa. Oh my gosh. I just realized the two majors that I've gone to, Pound this year and I just confused AMSA and Zane's. I switched it in my head. AMSA won LSI and Zane won Big House. Nope. Never mind. It is not a Zane sweep for me attending majors. But that's okay because Zane still placed pretty well for Big House, pretty well.
Oh, yeah.
But I'll remember Big House because, again, I got to be more involved. There was space to move around. That was a big deal, not having to be crunched in the whole time. Mm-hmm. And
our table was so long. We had the cameras on the lighting rig, so we had like wide angles abound. It was very spacious. Very nice.
Banners. There's no banners at Pound.
The banners, though.
Mm-hmm. There's room for people to sit down and watch top 8. Big House was an amazing experience. And Detroit was really nice. I didn't know what to expect with Detroit. I have an idea of my mind of like a city that's trying to make a comeback for however many years in a row. And I will say the nice parts of Detroit were nice. And then the rest of it was just like any other city to me. I don't want to be mean, but it's cement and tall buildings. I don't know what to tell you. There's not there's not a long list of cities that feel unique.
Yeah, it's a pretty standard Midwestern town, I think, like in terms of like what you expect geographically from it. Pretty flat, pretty gray. There's a lot of good shit there. Like Detroit like changed America twice in huge ways, right? Auto industry and then Motown, and that I think makes it like too important to like, to just like fall off. Like every team needs to rebuild at some point. And I really hope Detroit gets there. Like, Detroit's cool, man. Detroit's very cool. It's my second favorite Midwestern city, I think, in terms of like
after Chicago, right?
The gravity of it, yeah. Chicago,
of course, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think so.
I've yet to visit Chicago. Chicago would feel like a unique one to me because there's a literal lake rubbing up against it. That's pretty unique compared to other American cities.
Oh yeah, we got good water here. Really nice tap water. It's one of the largest reserves of fresh water right there. Dip my toes in it.
So when Isaiah says, New Jersey's got some real good tap water, you're going, no, Chicago has good tap water.
No shot Jersey has half as good tap water as we have. No shot. I
think that Isaiah was not being fully serious when he said that. I think that part of that.
I expect that from him.
I think that part of that was like, I'm bullshitting Samox right now for this very serious interview. Okay. I wanted to ask you about the degeneracy side of LSI because this would be good to get your take on this. And it was fresh, and hopefully people will remember for a long time that top 8 of Melee was in the same way that Saturday and Friday was couch style commentary, more of a summit kind of a feel. It wasn't just Ludwig plus 2 other people. It was a minimum of 5 people and Ludwig, so maybe 6 people at a time, everybody crowding in. Not necessarily because they like, I want to talk, but just because it's like, it's right there. You can see barely 5 feet behind the couch are people playing Melee and they look over and go, I could just like go over there. So
yeah, exactly.
And that's what happened. And then you get up to losers finals where Hungrybox doesn't really camp Leffen that much, but it's enough. After Hungrybox wins, Leffen goes onto the mic and for the next 10 minutes,
we could have seen this coming.
For the next 10 minutes is saying, in effect, I really don't want to play Melee like this. This is dumb. I don't like how we're allowing people like Hungrybox especially to camp and stall the game. And this is dumb. And I don't want to play Melee in the future if this is going to continue to be a thing. We got to fix this now.
Yeah. So what's better, I ask you, the salty tweet or the salty live tweet with your voice? It's the same shit, right? No, if there's an open mic there for Leffen to salty tweet, he's going to say it. If not, he's going to tweet it. Like, it doesn't matter that much. Like I think like him putting it to words on camera and having respected people around him reacting to it does make it more effective. But the energy is the same. It's the same, right? It's a salty Leffen tweet. Does he have a point? Probably. Is it put well? Almost never. So it's the same thing, or Mango walking over, or IBDW walking, whoever had minor beef that was forgotten days later. It's the same stuff. I don't think it makes a difference.
Mango being part of Grand Finals commentary, yes.
It could be risky, you might get some bad shit that happens, but I think most, it's rare that a top player does something like says something like just like truly like condemn worthy. So in general, at the very least, it's great content.
That was my view on it as well. I was like, this is hilarious because we've seen Leffen do salty tweets, but how long has it been since we've seen salty Leffen in front of a camera? I feel like it's been such a long time.
Right. Yeah. Or like an interview long ago. Right.
Mm-hmm. And it's
just a different channeling of the same energy. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that's a good thing. It can propel the tournament, right? It can get the couch all riled up and now everyone's joking and everyone loves to see that, right?
Ludwig doing a good job kind of like asking questions instead of immediately going into judges mode. I think Ludwig was like the best person to handle Leffen in that moment.
Exactly. Only Leffen can handle Leffen. We know this. Inside of Leffen, there are two Leffens.
They're both really good at Smash, too.
They're both super good. They're both like good. Top tier fucking fighting game players. Like, you name it. Yeah, so I think in general it's a good idea. And like the format was like, the couch had to be full at all times, but if they wanted to take a break or something, they'd have to get like a player or another commentator to fill the couch. So it was like this, and this is what Slime told me. This was like the self-governing kind of system, and it seemed to work really well. There was always, like, it was never not full, especially on day 3. There was always 5 people commentating.
And that's interesting. Like, you have to find somebody to fill your seat. That's interesting.
Exactly, yeah. And so it was, I think it seemed like it worked out. It belied, it went against the normal like schedule thing. I'm not sure if this is what they do for like Summit proper. It seems that way. It's very fluid either way. And so this kind of constantly evolving commentary couch, like we're hour 15 of these 3 and then someone dips and you get 45 minutes of this guy. There's a chance for it to be inconsistent, but it always keeps things fresh. It always has, at least it has the strongest odds of keeping your commentary fresh if you do it that way.
So I
think is a net positive.
What I really liked about the Summit style couch was how it affected the mood of the tournament from my perspective for days 1 and 2. But for day 3, for top 8, and I know I didn't even mind it for top 16, but for top 8, I thought it'd be kind of nice if we did just have 2 people for top 8 first with Ludwig, and then again top 4 with 2 other people and Ludwig. I thought that because when it's all these top heavy talented players except for Plup Sedge playing for a reasonable amount of money, and this is the most stacked tournament of all time, that kind of thing, ultimately the couch felt a little bit too underappreciative of the moment, and I don't think that's anybody's fault, and I don't want to say that it was specifically the couch, because we saw how Summit 11, it was amazing to have all those people. It was a mix. I think it was, at the very least, Scar and Toph and Homemade Waffles and Lovage, those 4 at least on that couch commentating Mango Zane Grand Finals Game 10. Mm-hmm. So I know that the hype can be there, but maybe it was just because Hungrybox went really far in the bracket, and most Melee enthusiasts kind of get a little sad when Hungrybox goes far in brackets. So
I think the prevailing opinion is true, but also who was on the couch, right? Waff, Toph, Fish, Mac, Ludwig.
Yes, almost forgot.
How many times have they seen this story? Grand Finals, Zane HBOT. Like after a certain point, and sometimes and there are stakes that alter this. There are like, aggravating and mitigating factors, to use legal terms, that adjust like the hype level. And like Zane HBox, not after like Amsa Mango, that's not as good, right? Or like, and they've all been at Summit and they've seen these guys play each other into fucking stalemate like constantly. Like Cody, IBDW, or Cody HBox, Cody Zane, Mango Zane, and those are all really exciting things because it presents the top tier of our gameplay. But at the same time, like even solid gold gets a little old, sometimes. And then the spark hits you again, and then you're screaming on the mic, "Oh my God!" And that happens often, but there is a fatigue that can settle in. And from a viewer's perspective, after a certain point bracket, if like my two favorite players are out, it's like Cody HBox, Zane, and I don't know, Jmook, like I'm less inclined because I've seen all that before. Like I do want to know who wins, but I'll tune in at grand finals kind of thing. You know what I mean? So that might have something to do with it. It's not to dispel the glory of what we are witnessing in those matches. The truly like the stuff that our meta is made of, and pushing it further still.
Slug
especially with how much Melee's been going on. What?
Slug just really let us down.
Really let us down. I was all Team Slug, baby. It was like, single-handedly proving Ice Climbers don't need wobbling. I've been waiting for this for 7 years. Finally. Single-handedly.
Placing fourth was already amazing, so good for Slug. But if he had beaten Hungrybox there and then beaten Leffen, that would have also been a tall task. I mean, Leffen knows how to exploit matchups. But
I love shit like that. Like that's the stuff that keeps me interested, that keeps me invested.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I think those news stories.
I think when they were commentating Hungrybox Slug, it was that feeling of excitement. And now that I've thought back on this, as we've been talking, I went, oh, right. When Slug got eliminated, it was just Leffen, Zane, Hungrybox. Oh.
Yeah, right. Mango's gone. Everyone loves Mango. Amsa's out. Jmook, who's like, I guess that's like the next big thing. Like, when's this guy going to win?
When's Jmook going to win? But not at LSI, right? Not at LSI.
It's coming. He might be the best player in the world in 2 years. I don't know.
What if we just say this either yes or no right now? Is Jmook the best player of 2024?
2024. Is Jmook the best player of 2024? Yeah, I'm gonna say it now. I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna say in 2 years, Jay, because he's already like so good and he's so young, dude. He's gonna devote his entire life to getting better, and we've seen how far that can go. I think he can beat anybody.
Mentality is in such a good spot for Jmook. I think that his resiliency and his competitor spirit is in the same, not the exact same, but it's in the same vein of somebody like Zane or Mango, where it's like, even if you get knocked down, you get back up, you keep going. And it's so fun to be knocked down into the doldrums or to be super ultra sad, because all Melee players eventually feel that, even if it doesn't happen as often for low level players like myself. I can't feel super sad because I didn't get to a point where falling really hurt. But when I think when I think about Jmook, I just hope that he is able to continue to keep that mentality, as well as all the other things that you just said, where he's going to get better. He has so much time to get better. He's full-time in Melee so early for someone who just started competing in major seriously just this year, and within months was able to say, I can quit my job, I could just play Melee full-time. This is great. So
the floor keeps rising.
Yes,
it just keeps going up. Like, this doesn't happen in other communities, like with games this old, right? Like, how is the floor still going up in Melee?
Yes.
What?
In record time. Wow. We're seeing all these. Oh my gosh, Walt and Jmook are like this because they both had meteoric rises in their respect. Oh my gosh.
Jmook is the Walt of players.
This is the Jmook of players. Yes.
Yo, dead ass.
Oh my gosh.
Parallel. I know. I hope Walt clips that and throws it somewhere. I'll say it.
Jmook is the Walt of Melee players.
And Walt is the Jmook of Melee commentators. That's a perfect analogy. I have no problems with that right there.
It's making a lot of sense. They're both from New York, technically.
East Coast. Yeah, East Coast.
East Coast.
Is it tri-state, right? To be it's even more particular, both tri-state.
Yeah, Wald is not from New York City, like Long Island, if I want to, if my memory serves me correctly, but East Coast, tri-state, however you want to phrase it. Okay, I have another question about the game of Melee as we see it now. The next big event is Summit 14. Who do you like for Summit 14? Because I believe that's this, not this upcoming weekend, because today's Friday, obviously, but I'm talking about the following weekend.
Who do I see? Like, who do I want to win?
It's not AMSA anymore, is it?
It's always AMSA.
Oh, it is
AMSA
always
still
AMSA?
has to like cement, right? Because like this is one of the things of AMSA's like whole career. He's like, oh, he beat Mewtwo King. Oh, we're gonna figure that. That's a fluke. We saw that. Oh, Yoshi loses against Fox so bad. Drill beats Yoshi. Oh, Yoshi will never win a major. Like his whole Melee career, he's had to like get dogged by this shit, and he proved the entire world wrong. By the way, he did nothing less than just like shut everybody up. And this is, I think, just the latest thing. Can AMSA win another major? Oh, Yoshi will never do that again. Look at this Falco tech. This double shine beats Yoshi. Like, AMSA's so ahead of everybody when it comes to dealing with Yoshi. He's got more setups than you're even aware of. And people don't give that enough credit. Like, he's got setups on setups on setups. The weirdest hitbox shit and weak this and double jump cancel that.
Crowded down B, Jakespeare.
You know, the down B, now he's comboing people with the stars. Like, who could have seen that coming? That's what I'm talking about. That's the shit I love. So always AMSA. Always AMSA. If not, Jmook, I think Jmook's due. I think Jmook is due. And it's not outrageous. I think if AMSA runs into Cody, it's going to be tough. That's the only person that I don't think he's beat. Right? Has he beat Leffen? I remember Leffen destroyed him at a summit one year. Like, absolutely it was the saddest thing.
AMSA has beaten Leffen, or did I lose track of who we were talking about?
I was going to, so Cody, I don't think AMSA's beat Cody, right?
AMSA has not, I want to say has not.
I don't believe so. But as I remember AMSA getting absolutely torched by Leffen at a summit, and I don't recall off the top of my head. I think AMSA has beaten Leffen.
At Pound, yes, I saw that live. That was amazing.
Okay, yes. Okay, good. But I think Leffen's like the he'll make you so honest. Make you so honest when you play. And I think, I mean, that's always something to be afraid of, right? He's a quick adapter. Like, he won't get hit by the same shit twice. So, Yoshi being a mid-tier, maybe the best mid-tier, but a mid-tier, is always limited in how they can get their shit going. AMSA's just hands down the best example of that.
I have no idea who's going to win Summit 14, because every time I think of a good angle for somebody, I think we have enough results now from this year that I don't know who has sort of that clear path. And it was never a clear path, to be fair, but we had a lot of different, it's been a while since we've seen this, or we haven't seen it this year yet scenarios. But now that Leffen has especially competed at a couple of events, it feels like we're revisiting a lot of things. So who's going to have the upper hand? Leffen probably going to beat HBox if they come across each other in bracket, or maybe it'll be even worse, a Hungrybox 3-0, and it's like 4 stocks or 3 stocks the entire way because Leffen is like extremely down bad. Who knows? Or it'll be a 3-0 Leffen. You get what I'm saying? I don't know who's going to rise above their storyline and be able to take the event. And always what makes Summit interesting, in the same way that LSI was interesting, is that you have to play high level matches throughout the weekend. And that's something that Mango seems to hate, because every time he loses an event like Summit or LSI, he says, I beat IBDW and Zane and I got 7th. This is dumb.
Hey man, that's where you got to prove it, right?
You have to prove it not just once, but twice or 3 times even, depending on if you're there in their pool, and then in the gauntlet round, and then finally in bracket. What about winners and losers? You can play somebody 4 times.
I know why they call it gauntlet, because all of Summit is a fucking gauntlet.
Yes.
Like 3 days of gauntlet.
But that's the gauntlet.
It is, Like I understand why it's called that, but like literally Summit is just gauntlet for the best 20 players in the world or whatever, 16.
But something that's unique to this particular Summit 14, and might be unique for a long time, is that all those players are just fresh off of a weekend that's Summit style of playing against each other.
Very Summit style.
That's what's going to be interesting to me, is who is able to turn around the data they've been compiling and the practice they've been getting into then doing the same thing with the almost exact same group of people, smaller pool, but the top players are all still there. And Plup's going to be added to the mix, hopefully, right? If Plup's going, please tell me Plup's going. So I know Plup was invited, but I better, don't tell me that Plup announced he's not going. Plup is going, right? Gosh.
Yeah, I hope so. I love Plup's always such a cool X Factor player. Because definitely, like, you know, Wizzy's here too, but like of the top 10, like they're the least active. Like it's mysterious whether they'll make an event or not. It's never a shoe-in like a lot of other of the top players.
Yes.
So and whenever they show up, they always like just like are scary. Always.
And I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see all these Pikachus. Got Axe and Ralph. It's gonna be fun.
So Ralph, the recent Pikachu convert, the crazy man, that crazy man.
So I'm excited to see this event coming up. But in the meantime, we'll do. We've done Who's the Best Player 2024. J Mook. Yes, we both agree on that. We were able to talk about Summit 14 LSI and Big House. So I'll make one more topic for you, and then we'll get going. And it's a topic about you once again. So I'm interested in hearing a little bit of you could call this a review, because I didn't get to post the podcast that we recorded at Big House onto my own channels and such, but I loved hearing about the discipline of music, the discipline of playing Melee. And so for the people at home, what are things that make sense to you when you think about music and Melee? What are things that don't make sense when you think about music and Melee?
Yeah. So both of them essentially are dependent on context, right? Like I can play a single note and just repeat it over and over again on a piano. And then I can throw my left hand in and do different harmonies, and each one of those harmonies make that one note sound like something different. They give it a different character, it has a different role, it has a different importance. And essentially it's what Melee is in a larger sense, is that what is the best thing to do here right now? And how can I mix it up from the last time I did it to keep it interesting? So that's another big part about successful music is like, or just storytelling in general, is like, you know, making your audience think that they're right there with you, but also always be a step ahead of them. And right when they think they got it figured out, give them the fucking and then they'll go, oh my god, that's what this is about, dude. And that's kind of what Melee is, except your audience is your opponent, but you're still trying to like mix them up and like get them to think that
conditioning,
they have you
figured
out. But then you just like, yeah, Fiction said it best. This is what playing Melee is. Like, shake my hand, he said to me, and I shook his hand, and then he goes I'll never forget that, right? Music is like that, but it's like shake your hand instead of a bye, you just like take your hand away, and then you do it again, and they're like, okay, and then you take your hand away, and then you do it a third time, and then they're like, and then you finally get that handshake you've been waiting for, and it's the best feeling you've ever had in your life. That's a good story. That is a good story. It's right there. It's like, am I gonna get? I think I know what's coming. Is it gonna happen? Because I really, really want it, but I don't know. And then it does at the end, and it's a great ending, and you're like, wow, that was so worth the fake outs and the mix, and maybe even a couple head slaps there. But once I actually got that handshake, holy, yeah. And so you just do that to your opponent constantly. I'm gonna come in. I'm gonna come in, and then they extend their hand, and you're like, gotcha. And it's the same idea, but just different consequences and different emotions that are utilized. But it all comes in context. Like, if I'm just full hopping in the corner for some reason and my opponent is taking center stage, that's not the right way to use full hop. You know, I'm giving my opponent space. So sometimes full hop is good. Sometimes full hop is the best thing you can do. But here, it doesn't make sense. Do something else. Why? This is a stale performance. This is a lame solo. I am not interested. This is not good. So yeah, put it briefly again, context, and then execution with, you know, which is just a combined effort of muscle memory and the ideas you've grown along the way and the things you practiced, and putting them just in the right place in the right time to make your audience or your opponent go, oh. And you do that a million times, and that's how you become J-Mook. It's easy as that.
when Leffen was going on a roll at LSI, just do all these beautiful, picture a guitar player or maybe perhaps a solo saxophonist or something, just being able to riff and riff and riff, and then running into Hungrybox 4/4 time, 4 chords or just 4 notes,
right? Yeah,
and going
different pace,
no,
tempo.
stop it, I hate this.
Different context, all that shit that worked against whoever you beat to get here. No, not this time. And Jigglypuff especially is like a lot of your set play goes out the window. Most characters, when you play with Jigglypuff, like that's a very specific matchup, right? You got your character has shit on Puff, and that's the shit you're going for, and everything else just don't get hit. But like your whole metagame evolves around like a simpler kind of idea. So I can't just like, oh shit, lasers. Oh yeah, this is working so well. And then I get back here, right? That works every other matchup for the most part. But oh shit, I dared Puff, I'm gonna shine, and now I can't combo anymore. Okay, well, I should have thought about that differently. So yeah, there's some tunes, so to speak, are very weird, and you can't rely on your traditional sense of harmony to guide your way through it, or time. Like some songs are in 7, some songs are in 5, and we have 2 feet. That's fucking weird, but we have to play it anyway, and we'll find a groove in these odd circumstances. That's what playing Puff is like. It's like playing a matchup in 5/4. You're always kind of on the back foot, but you can also be on the front foot if you're playing it right. But it's never it never feels like super the same melee. You're playing like half melee when you're playing against the Jigglypuff. So again, context, knowing your shit, situations, executing correctly at the right time, so you win.
What do you think of Trombone Champ?
Oh, love it. I love watching fucking me's do this shit to dope songs. It's hilarious. It's perfect. I wish someone would make a fucking trombone that like a plastic like Guitar Hero style trombone I could play. Does that exist?
Probably not.
Tell me that exists.
But not yet. Not yet.
I bet someone's making it right now. Someone can 3D print that shit mediamente and just and then go on playing some fucking anime intro on the trombone and get 10 billion likes guaranteed. That's a banger.
That sounds like your next viral video idea. In the meantime,
I got a couple. I'm just too lazy sometimes. Like, I got to sit in front of a computer for 5 hours and like this might flop. I don't know. It's hard for me to commit to things like that.
Yes, I totally get that. But I also get that we have to stop now. We have to wrap it up.
It is time.
It's time. But this has been an amazing conversation. You have been amazing, Jakespeare.
Thank you, You've been too. Great host.
I appreciate you coming on. Let's make sure that we can roll out the red carpet for you and allow you to tell the people all the shout outs that you have or plugs and any final thoughts that you may have. Go for it.
Yeah, sure. I keep things pretty low key. I don't like to just like promote things of myself. And I live a very simple, humble life, and I'm always happy to get thank yous and whatever. That's all good shit. But nothing to promote. Thanks to you, first of all, Cypher, bottom of Smash Mountain, and all the guests that came before me. Thanks to forever shout outs to Juna, Melee every day, all the homies there, all CLM. You guys are the best. It's an honor to show up every day at the weekly, get 9th or something, and just have a great time. Shout outs to I guess it's the community at large for changing my life and making me a better person. Straight up. Shout outs to mom and dad. Shout outs to everyone whoever meant something to me, whoever pushed me in the right direction. Call outs to all you naysayers and big ego motherfuckers who think this is all about you. I'm kidding. Only half. But yeah, go out, love someone, do it for someone else. I promise you it'll come back to you tenfold at least. And just keep that up. And, if it isn't fun, to hell with it. If you don't have to do it, don't. If you have to, there are things in life that are not fun that you have to do. But if it's not fun, you don't have to do it, to hell with it. I promise you. Get that out of the way sooner, and things will just be so much easier for you. That's all I want to say.
Jakespeare, that was very eloquently put. Thank you so much for that. And for all of you, thank you for joining another episode. we're going to do the outro thing, but Jakespeare, don't go anywhere. After the outro is done, we're coming back briefly to do thumbnails, and then we'll get you going, okay?
Dope. Thanks, everyone. Oh, that was fun.
Oh, yeah, big time fun. Oh, no water.
Not plugs and shoutouts. I just called it. That's great. No plugs, plenty of shoutouts.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You saw that. I was having, I have to have fun with it sometimes.